So it always surprises me how successful some really simple games like this can be. My son absolutely loves playing this sort of game on his iPad, and this is entirely based at this stage on addition and subtraction. So even with these simple mechanics, we can have a lot of fun. So let's dive in and start with the very basics of mathematics, addition and subtraction. See you in there. Okay, guys, let's get moving. Let's get on with addition and subtraction, the very starting point. Now, look, I'm not going to keep you too long with this because it's simple stuff, but there are a few gotchas with regards to game development that I want to show you about. So throughout this course, we're going to be using something that I'm going to call a number line as a starting point. So that's just a line in space I'm drawing here. All right, and then we're going to imagine to start with that we have a 0 point maybe on the left-hand side here. So this is just a line that represents numbers, and this guy here is 0. So as our numbers progress, we've got 1, and then maybe 2, and then maybe 3, and then maybe 4. Okay, now addition is simply moving to the right on this number line, like so. Each time we add 1, we're doing this. If we were to add 4, we would be doing this. Nice and simple. So that's addition. What is subtraction? Well, subtraction is moving left, so maybe I'll use a different color for subtraction, perhaps a game dev green. If we were to take 4 and subtract 2, we go down to 2. Okay, and if we were to subtract, take 1 and subtract 1, we get down to 0. Very simple. So the other option that we have here is to have a negative values on the number lines. Let's take a little look at how that would work. So we can have a very similar number line, but this time let's imagine that this number line, the 0 is shifted across and that we have 0 here. All right, right in the middle there, let's say. Now we can play with things called negative numbers. So if I have maybe 1 sheep or 2 sheep or 3 sheep, and I want to take away a certain number of sheep, then if you said, hey, you've got 2 sheep but give me 3, we would end up back here at a number that we're going to call -1, so negative numbers. All right, super simple. That's all I'm going to say about the number line for the moment for you. So what we need to think about when we're using a game engine with numbers is a few things. Firstly, we want to look at overflow limits. So if I pop here, this is an older version of Unity game engine, but it doesn't matter. It's the same in a lot of languages. And I start with a big number. Now, I've chosen this number for a reason. This is, we'll find out later, a 32-bit integer. So this means the total size that this can be is just over 2 billion. So I've set the number just under its limit, and then I've just got a thing that's going to print out the number and then keep updating it. So let's just look at that happening. So I come along, I hit play, we go to the console, and look what happens if we scroll back in the console. The number goes up and up and up and up, and then eventually, look, oops, suddenly goes negative. So we'll find out what's going on there at another stage in the course when we look at the floating point representation. But what you need to understand is that one of the gotchas on a computer is the idea that you have limits of a number, and it may not fail nicely. You may end up with it going from 2 billion to -2 billion when what your code said to do was to add 1. So big gotcha there. Other things we need to look at is the idea that when we're plussing things together on a computer, we're not necessarily dealing with the same types. We may have on one side of this, we may have a whole number, somewhere else we may have a decimal number, so we need to be a little bit careful of that. Plus operators on computers tend to do lots of different things, and you sometimes need to hover over them or look in your documentation to find out exactly what your thing is doing, your machine is doing. The other thing to say about addition and subtraction is it can be done in any order. So addition can be done in any order. 1 plus 2 equals 2 plus 1. They're the same thing. They both equal 3. When it comes to subtraction, they can't be done in any order. 1 minus 2 does not equal, and I'm going to use that symbol there, which is an equals with a cross through it, does not equal 2 minus 1, because 1 minus 2 is -1, as we saw before, and that does not equal to 2 minus 1, which is 1. All right, so be careful of the order with subtraction. Understand that you could blow your limits on a computer of what is possible in terms of the range of the numbers you're dealing with, and be a little bit careful of those plus operators because they can catch you out. They might do things you're not expecting. That's enough on addition and subtraction for now. Let's dive into the next lecture.